Hi, it's me, Mark Monlux, and this is your Friday night movie recommendation. So this week, I'm going to recommend from 2001, Donnie Darko. So some other things that was happening in 2001. Lots of great television was premiering. We had 24 Hours, Scrubs, 6 Feet Under, Alias, just to name a few. There so many great shows came out then. Man, I've watched a lot of TV. Anyway, so Donnie Darko was in production throughout the late 1990s. And it was an odd script. It was a really strange, it's a sci-fi thriller. And it touches on all sorts of things. It touches on science, on teenage angst, on suicide, on spirituality, on things that could be perceived as supernatural. You know, a lot of things are, people say the difference between magic and science is, perception. Well, what is the difference between spirituality or visions and hallucinations? This basically this film is set in the 80s, which was a really interesting choice for 2000. It was set in a high school. This high school student, he's trying to figure out what's happening. He's been sleepwalking. So you're wondering, is this reality that he's perceiving his sleepwalking state? A lot of weird stuff are happening. He's trying to figure it out with his teachers, some of who he trusts, others who he doesn't. He's trying to figure this out with adults, again, some with who he trusts, some who he doesn't. And certainly his fellow students, there are those that he has feelings for, and others who he just know are, jerks and assholes. There's this character called Frank in the movie. And Frank is basically a rabbit. He's a guy in a rabbit outfit. Now, there's a lot of, the director's kind of going, oh, by the way, the director was Richard Kelly, and this was his debut directing. And he did a fantastic job. No worries about it. So Frank is this weird thing. You don't want to make it look like a regular Easter Bunny suit. You gotta make it look weird and frightening. And maybe part of this was the influence from Watership Down that came out. That was another film. That was also a very popular book. I highly recommend both of those things. But I heard something else about Frank. There are many urban legends that pop up that are very regional. There's one in Tacoma here about a guy in the woods. That was very popular back in the 30s and 40s. Basically a homemade boogeyman that was created to frighten children to behaving. No doubt it came from just some homeless person living in the woods. Anyway, there happens to be in the Great Lakes area region, 2 news reports popped up in the 70s. The first one was, remember back then there was no internet. There was just the police blotter in the newspaper. One police blotter reported that police were sent out to investigate the report of a man wearing a rabbit costume. The man had an axe. Or rather, the rabbit had an axe. The police went out there, found nothing. A couple weeks go by, a different report comes from a different location, also about somebody in a rabbit outfit in the middle of a field. Those were the only two, no mention of an axe. Again, police went out, found nothing. These could have been completely bogus call-ins, who knows what, but they were just, guy in a rabbit outfit. This isn't Easter. What's going on? But that gave sort of like, and maybe even these reports were completely bogus, but the thing is, this was something that teenagers of the time pick up on, and maybe that's something that the director also picked up on, was this bit of local lore. Anyway, that said, they wanted to make this bunny outfit look creepy, so they kind of spent a fair amount of time modeling what the mask of this bunny outfit looked like, and when they finally finished it, it looked creepy as all get out. So the story I gave you kind of fits in with how Frank eventually emerges in the film. First of all, Frank shows up as a vision. I'm not giving away too many things here. Pretty early on, you're going to see this guy in a rabbit outfit show up in a vision, or maybe it's a dream, or who knows what it is. Anyway, the storyline it's so unique, and at the time very jarring and new, and it had a very daring approach to everything. It is not your typical film, and it's odd to describe what it is. So Donnie Darko was in a bit of a rough spot when it was released. I mean, it was already dealing with some themes that were kind of sensitive, because Columbine was fairly fresh, only happened a few years before, and this film was coming out after that. And worse yet, there is a mention of an airplane crash in the film. And this film was released about a month and a half after 9/11 happened. So people were very sensitive to the whole that topic. And that might be why it didn't do tremendously well at the box office. Now, people liked it. Most reviews were good, some reviews were negative. But what was definite is that this thing developed a cult following. It became sort of like the weird movie that you wanted to share with your friends. Check it out. And over the years, it's become almost a cultural touchstone, because not everyone has seen it. And so I'm really encouraging you, if you haven't seen it, to check out Donnie Darko. Now, you can find Donnie Darko on Canopy. That's spelled with a K, Kanopy. Canopy is a free streaming service provided by your local public library or by your local universities. And you can get onto it just by having a library card and a zip code. That's it. And it is a free streaming service with thousands of movies and hundreds of TV shows. Check it out. It just so happens that Donnie Darko is licensed there. I think you can also watch it on Tubi. let's see. Oh, I forgot to mention other things that happened in 2001. Um, there was Hanging by a Moment was the number one song on the Billboard Top 100, and that was put out by Lighthouse. And Gladiator won Best Film, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon won Best Foreign Film. So those are also other fun and good movies. But for tonight, check out Donnie Darko. Now, Donnie Darko is such an interesting movie that I have made a print. And I found this thrift shop painting of a field, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be hilarious if I painted Frank into the field? So this is Frank in a field. And I was at the Lilac City Comic Con last week, and you never know which print's going to go. Now, this isn't a new print. I've had this print for some years now, but I sold out of these. Every print I took to the show, I sold. So it was the hot ticket item, which is what kind of inspired me to do this review on Donnie Darko. Anyway, if you like this review, please like and follow me on YouTube. I also post this on my TikTok. If you're fortunate enough to be on YouTube, you can click in the doobly-doo down below. There'll be a link to my online store if you're interested in the print. Anyway, that's this week's review. Thanks.